Hi, welcome to this episode of Grad Student Tips. I am Leigh, PhD. You can get a hold of me, email me if you have questions, things that you would like to see discussed on Grad Student Tips. You can email me at leahall39@gmail.com. And also my blog, leahall.wordpress.com, where I talk about issues of teaching and learning in higher education. Now, today we're going to be talking about what goes on at an advisee meeting. But specifically, I'm going to talk to you about how to make the most of your meetings so that you get a lot out of it as a student. Now, ideally, you're going to be having, and every advisor will do this differently, but I would say during your first 1 to 2 years in a program, particularly doctoral level program, you're going to want to be checking in with your advisor, having a formal one-on-one meeting once a month. Okay. If your advisor doesn't request that from you or expect that from you, I suggest that you request that from your advisor so that you are building a relationship and really taking advantage of, what your advisor has to offer. I was fortunate when I was a doctoral student. I had a fantastic advisor, not just in terms of the information and help that she gave me, but also she was just incredible. She had a great career. She was very smart. She was very knowledgeable, and she knew how to do a lot of things very well. And so I used those meetings to hone in and learn as much as I could from her. So make the most of your meetings. How do you do that? Because I will tell you, as an advisor, I have sat on the side of the desk where I've seen students not make the most of their meetings, and that's not what you want. So first of all, come prepared. If your advisor has requested that you do any advanced work prior to your meeting, do it. Okay. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about if you have some kind of emergency. I'm just talking about general everyday things. Do it. All right. So that could mean that your advisor needs you to get some paperwork settled, or it could be something like sometimes I ask students to go do readings on things that they are interested in and come back ready to talk about it. Sometimes I explicitly tell them what I want them to read, and sometimes I don't. I let them go identify it and then come and talk through what they're learning so that I can help them, especially during those first couple of years. Think about what do you need to be reading? What are your understandings of what you are reading, right? So if your advisor asks you to do prep work, do it, okay? And if you didn't do it, you either need to reschedule or you need to have the best reason in the world, okay? Ask for help, right? So I see these meetings as really relationship building in addition to being there to help you grow as a scholar. But the thing that I want you to notice here is really take charge of these meetings. Okay, so initially your advisor might set the tone, but once you get to know your advisor, start shaping the agenda. So ask for help should really be shape the agenda for the meetings. All right, now your advisor may have one or two things that they feel are very important that they need to discuss, but beyond that, hey, if you've got 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, what do you want to talk about with this person who we're going to assume is really smart and knowledgeable and great and has much to share with you? All right. I've listed a few things here, right? Some of it's more like research help, right? You can ask them for help in terms of navigating the research literature. Like I said earlier, I'm very open to students reading something in their field of interest, coming back in and just talking about it, right? Just what did you learn? Let's talk about it. What questions do you have? Let's talk about those. Let's just talk about what you're reading. You can also ask for basic help, of course, classes to take, next steps in the program, where you're headed, any kinds of confusion, obviously, that you have. Your advisor can help you sort it out, or at least should be able to point you in the direction of someone who can. But, and this is a really important point, this last point, know your stuff, okay? So know the procedures, know the expectations in your program, know that manual. I cannot tell you how many students I've run into that simply don't know the manual, right? It's time for them to take comprehensive exams, and they don't even know the first thing about what's going to happen to them in their comprehensive exam, okay? They haven't paid attention, they haven't read the manual, they haven't talked to other students, right? So make sure that as a student, you understand the procedures, the expectations, the factual stuff of what is going to happen to you, right? This is your degree. Own it, okay? Own it, and know that, manual, handbook inside and out. As your advisor, I have to say, I experience things where handbooks and manuals change. So I could be advising 5 students and each one has a slightly different set of procedures because they all came in under new when procedures were modified. Okay, so you're held accountable to whatever procedures were in place when you began. I can't keep track of 5 different rule books. I can't keep track of 2 different rule books. Keep track of your rule book. If you have questions about it, bring that to the attention of your advisor. If your advisor says something that's incorrect, tell them, right? Okay, let them know that that's not what's in the manual, because I will be the first to tell my students rules change, procedures change, and sometimes I can't keep it straight. So you never want to take my word. You always want to go and double check and look at the manual. So the thing that I would say to make the most of your meetings, know your stuff, know where you're headed, shape the agenda. Take advantage of this time with your advisor, and you will get the most out of it. Now, I would love to be able to help you think more about advisor-advisee relationships. Please feel free to email me, leahhall39@gmail.com. That's in the notes. You can also reach out to me on Twitter. All of that stuff is in the notes, the show notes. And also, please leave comments. Tell me, what are some great things or some horror stories or questions or help that you need in terms of making the most of your meetings with your academic advisor.